guys, it's Shawnee, aka Total Makeup Junkie 101. So today I'm going to be doing a review, comparison, dupe video, all on the new Melt Cosmetics Digital Dust highlighters. This is the latest release by Melt Cosmetics. If you guys aren't familiar with Melt, they are an online indie brand. I believe they started out with their lipsticks, and their lipsticks were some of the most matte, long-wearing lipsticks I've ever used. Then they came out with some eyeshadow stacks, which were also fantastic, and recently they just released these highlighters. There are 3 different shades available. I have all 3 to share with you guys today. I purchased my highlighters directly off of the Melt Cosmetics website. They do retail for $39 a piece, or you can get the bundle of all 3 for $100. So this is what the packaging of the highlighters looks like, just for your guys' knowledge. They do come in a box like this. All of the boxes, depending on the color of the highlight you get, are slightly different shades of like chrome metallic, but the actual product packaging is like a plastic matte black. It says Melt on the front. It does have a large sticker with the name, and then the compact does pop open. It is magnetic, which I thought was really, really nice. It has a very large mirror at the top, and then this is what the actual highlight looks like. It does have a really, really cool embossing on it. Let's give you guys a little sneaky peeky at the darker color here, so you can hopefully see the embossing better. It does say Melt Cosmetics on it. The packaging itself is really weighty. It does feel very luxurious. It doesn't feel cheapy. It's magnetic. It's a really, really nice compact. So here are swatches of the 3 shades of Digital Dust highlight that Melt Cosmetics launched. From left to right, we have Stargazer, Gold Ore, and Nova. You can see that these 3 shades are very, very different, one next to the other. So for their initial launch of colors, I am really happy that they released these 3. I feel like you have a highlight for pretty much every single skin tone. So these are supposed to have a unique formula that provides a second skin finish. They're highly pigmented, buildable, create a day glow or an intense luster for evening. It's supposed to last up to 12 hours without fading, the truest color, extremely soft polish finish. So basically this is just supposed to be a perfect powder highlighter. So in terms of the overall texture of these, when I first saw the product just in the pan, it really reminded me of the look of something like the MAC Extra Dimension Skin Finishes. I'll just give you guys kind of a side-by-side so you can see just the overall look of them in the pan is very similar. I was expecting a very similar texture out of these, and I will say that these are almost like a hybrid between something like the Extra Dimension Skin Finish or like, you know, the powder Gelee highlights from Estee Lauder mixed with a traditional powder highlighter like the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector pressed. To be honest, I almost feel like you're kind of getting the best of both worlds, because if you've used kind of these baked Gelee type highlighters, you know that the overall texture of them is a little drier. You have to use them with stiff brushes, otherwise you're gonna start developing a hard pan. But the actual product is so metallic and so reflective. Once you actually get it on your skin, there's almost nothing like it. And then of course a traditional powder highlighter, it is gonna look a little bit more powdery. You're never going to get the intense metallic shift that you get with a powder Gelee highlight, but these are generally a little bit easier to use. You can use them with something like a fan brush or really any highlighter brush you want. Now these Melt highlighters do give you that super metallic shift like the powder Gelee highlights, but I don't find that you have to use them with a stiffer brush. You definitely don't want to use a super soft brush with these, otherwise they will start developing hard pan. But for example, I use a little bit of a softer, fluffier highlight brush on a daily basis, and it has worked perfectly fine with these powders. Out of the 3 shades that I have, I definitely think Gold Ore, which is that medium golden shade that I think would probably be the most versatile for every single skin tone. This one definitely has the most amount of like glitter particles. It's not overly chunky or overly glittery, but it is the most similar to a powder Gelee, which these do tend to be a little bit more on like the glittery metallic side. The least shimmery is definitely Nova. I feel like this one does look really, really metallic in the pan, but once you get it on your skin, I feel like the metallic shimmer is not overwhelming. So if you feel like this shade is too dark for you to use as a highlight, you could potentially use it as a bronzer. Melt Cosmetics did state that you can kind of use it as an all-over bronzy glow. Of course, that's definitely going to depend on your skin tone because this is pretty red toned. And then as far as the lightest shade, which is Stargazer, this is actually the shade I'm wearing on my cheeks today. I have it on my cheeks, I have it on my nose, I have it on my Cupid's bow. I just kind of put it everywhere. And I wanted to show you that even though this is the lightest shade, it still works on my skin tone, which I am a MAC NC45, just for reference. Okay, so now I want to go ahead and jump into some comparison swatches and some potential dupes on these shades, because I will say that while the formula and the texture and the overall colors are really nice and really wearable, I definitely don't think these are incredibly unique shades that you know, have never seen before. I pulled out highlighters from my collection that are either really, really popular that I think you guys might already own, or ones that were limited edition and have been discontinued but were popular when they initially came out. So let's go ahead and start off with the lightest shade, which is Stargazer. This one I think is probably going to be one of the more popular ones. So the other highlighters we're going to be comparing this one to. First off, we're going to be comparing it to TheBalm's Mary Luminizer. This is a super, super popular highlighter that I know a lot of you guys already own. We're also going to be comparing it to the Estee Lauder Modern Mercury Powder Gelee. This is the one that came out in the Victoria Beckham collection. I know this is a highlighter that is pretty much impossible to find, but it was super, super popular when it first came out. And then we're going to be comparing it to two of the very popular Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Pressed. First off, Opal, the long-loved, beloved highlight that I think pretty much everyone owns at this point. And we'll also be comparing it to Moonstone, which is the slightly lighter version of Opal and a little bit more golden. So here we have a look at all of those highlighters swatched next to each other. Right in the very center, we have Melt Cosmetics Stargazer. So at the very, very left-hand side, we have TheBalm's Mary Luminizer, which is definitely a lot more gold than Stargazer. Then we have Estee Lauder's Modern Mercury, which is significantly pinker than Stargazer. Then we have Becca's Opal, which I would say is definitely a little bit darker, but barely noticeable, especially when you sheer it out on the cheeks. And then we have Becca's Moonstone, which is significantly lighter and a little bit more white based. As far as these comparison swatches go, I would say that Becca's Opal is definitely the most similar to the Melt Cosmetics Stargazer shade, and they are pretty close. I think if you already own Opal, you probably don't need Stargazer. The next shade we'll go ahead and do some comparison swatches of is Gold Ore. Now this one is the one I think could be the most wearable one for all skin tones. So the highlighters we're going to be comparing Gold Ore to. First off, we're going to be comparing it to the MAC Extra Dimension Skinfinish in Oh Darling. This came out in the holiday collection. I believe it was 2 years ago, but it was such a popular shade. We'll also be comparing it to the super, super limited edition, hard to find MAC Whisper of Guilt. This is such a popular product, as is the next product we're going to be comparing it to, which is the original Estee Lauder Heat Wave. Yes, this is a product that is very impossible to find now, that everybody is after and loves. And then finally, we'll also be comparing it to Becca's Champagne Pop, which once again, I feel like everybody owns this product. So here are the comparison swatches between all of those highlighters. Dead center, we have Melt Cosmetics Gold Ore. From left to right, we have Oh Darling, which I would definitely say is a little bit lighter than Gold Ore. Then we have Whisper of Guilt, which is slightly less glittery. It's a little bit smoother of a finish. Then we have Estee Lauder Heat Wave, which once again, slightly less glittery, a little bit smoother in finish. And finally, we have Becca's Champagne Pop, which again is less glittery, smoother in finish. Out of all of these colors, I would say that Estee Lauder Heat Wave is probably the closest in shade and in texture and in finish to Gold Ore. But I'll be perfectly honest, all of of these shades are really, really similar to one another. So if MAC Whisper of Guilt or Estee Lauder Heat Wave was a major lemming for you, Melt Cosmetics Gold Ore is very, very close. All right, and the final shade that we're gonna be doing comparison swatches of is Nova, which is the darkest bronzy type shade. I pretty much pulled out most of my bronzy highlighters, and the most similar ones that we had, first off, is Estee Lauder's Powder Gelee in the shade Topaz Chameleon. This was, once again, a limited edition shade that has been discontinued. We will also be comparing one of the MAC Extra Dimension Skin Finishes in Glorify. I believe this came out in the same collection as Whisper of Guilt, and this one was definitely not as popular because it is kind of bronzy in tone, but this is such a pretty shade. We'll also be comparing Becca's Shimmering Skin Perfector Pressed in Topaz, which once again, that bronzy type color. And then we will also be comparing the Bobbi Brown. This is just the highlight powder in Bronze Glow. This is in kind of limited edition packaging, but I do believe this is a permanent highlighter in the Bobbi Brown line. So here are swatches of all of those highlighters next to each other. Right in the center, we have Melt Cosmetics Nova. From left to right, first off, we have Estee Lauder's Topaz Chameleon, which is quite a bit warmer and more glittery than Nova. Then we have MAC Glorify, which once again, significantly warmer and more glittery. Then we have Becca's Topaz, which I would say is a lot more brown, not quite as warm. And then we have Bobbi Brown's Bronze, which is much lighter and much more glittery. Out of all of these colors, I would say the MAC Extra Dimension Skin Finish and Glorify is the closest to Nova, but honestly, all of these are fairly different. I wouldn't say any of them are really dupes to Nova. So basically, out of all three of these shades, the most unique one, or the one I really couldn't dupe, was Nova, which is the bronzy one. I would definitely say that Gold Ore and Stargazer are a lot more common shades of highlight. They're shades you probably already own, but they're also probably going to be the most wearable ones. So I could definitely see these being like the best sellers. Let's go ahead and do some housekeeping things on this formula. This is a 100% cruelty-free and vegan formula. This product is also paraben-free and it is made in Italy. Just to give you guys a little bit of a price breakdown, you get 8 grams of product, or 0.28 ounces, for $39, which breaks down to $4.88 per gram. That is really, really expensive, I will say, but I do want to say that the packaging is excellent. It's very, very nice, high quality feeling. The product itself is, once again, excellent. I don't have an issue with any of these highlights. They're all very, very beautiful, but on the whole, it's an expensive highlight, and that's why I wanted to show you guys some dupes that you might already have in your collection. So it's really just going to depend on what you already have in your collection, what you've been wanting or needing, to see if the price justifies the product for you. So that's pretty much all I have to say on these Melt Cosmetics Digital Dust highlights. I hope you guys enjoyed this review video. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed seeing the dupes and the comparison swatches. In case you guys didn't know yet, I did start my own makeup line. We have 6 lipsticks that are available through that link to shop. I will also go ahead and put a subscribe link for my channel down there. But that is pretty much everything. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting and subscribing, and I will talk to you guys in my next video on Thursday. I'll see you then. Bye!